today I wanted to talk about dieting and the dieting myths in the dieting industry and how dangerous it can be, how fatal it can be for men and women around the world who are following advice from people who don't know much about health, nutrition and food. Firstly, let me start by saying that if you're currently dieting or eating less than 2,200 calories a day as a woman, a little bit more if you're male, the World Health Organization classifies that as famine. So if the whole nation was eating less than 2,200 calories a day, that would be classified as famine. By following these 1,200 calorie meal plans, you are creating a calorie deficit in your body. You are restricting your food intake, your energy intake, your carbohydrate intake, probably because you're probably going on a paleo, so like a high fat, high protein type of diet, because carbs are bad, but fat is good. Of course, that won't last long. You cannot deprive your body of fuel for a long period of time. It's not sustainable, it's not long-term weight loss, it's not healthy weight loss, eating that little, because you're not getting nutrients and vitamins that you need. You're not getting enough carbohydrates, you're not getting enough fuel, enough glucose for your brain and all the cells in your body to work properly. And essentially, your body's smart. It knows when it's in famine, and when you feast, it will store those calories as fat, just in case you go into famine again and you don't eat. It will have those stores to go to instead of eating away like your muscle. One thing I've noticed, like through my eating disorder, and when I used to restrict throughout the week, there'd be one day a week I'd binge out, called like a cheat meal. Yeah, a lot of people would know what that means, where you just binge the fuck out of anything that you see. You're like, throughout the whole week, you'll just like plan what you're gonna have. You're so keen because you're so hungry. You're constantly thinking about food, what food you're gonna eat. But throughout the whole week, you're just starving your body. Dr. McDougall found when someone has anorexia and they finally eat again after they've been starving, they grow 18 times faster than children. And that's insane. That just goes to show how your body backfires on you for treating it shit. And if you feel like, you're slacking off, or you're, lacking discipline, like they try and make you seem like, you have to be really motivated into this, like you have to be, strict, you can't like have snacks during the day, like you just gotta have those meals. It's like they're making you seem like because your body's hungry, that's wrong, and that signal that your body's hungry, you gotta ignore it, Ignore that signal. Nah, man, your head's just playing with you. You're not actually fucking hungry, 1,200 calories is okay. But 1,200 calories is what a 6-year-old, 7-year-old child should be eating, not an 18, 20-year-old woman or man. Like, that just blows my mind when I found out that the recommendation is actually for a 6, 7-year-old. Unless you're 6 or 7, you shouldn't be eating that much. You should be eating more because you're growing. You're going through puberty most likely. Your body's developing. You need to be eating more during this time than you ever will, because that's when your body's growing. It's growing, the organs are growing, you're still growing. And if you're fearing to gain weight, gaining weight isn't a bad thing. People think gaining weight is a bad thing. Sometimes gaining weight is necessary. If you've gone through an eating disorder and you're gaining weight when you slowly up your food intake, that is normal. That is what happens. It's adaptive thermogenesis, which is a scientific term for metabolic damage. And when you go through that cycle, binge, starve, binge, starve, binge, starve, that creates ketosis in your body, and that creates metabolic damage because you're fucking up your metabolism. You're not constantly getting in food, your metabolism's slowing down, and it's just gonna fuck you up. That's the best I can say. And the best thing you can do to repair your metabolism is to gain the weight necessary to regain your health. If you want to regain your health, regain your life, essentially, you gotta eat, because food is not the enemy. It's the type of food. That's another thing. People blame carbs, but carbs aren't bad. It's what we put with them that's bad. Donuts, you know, the carb, the flour, that's not bad, but it's, you know, the sugar's not bad. It's the fat, it's the dairy, it's all that shit going into it. Pizza, high carb pizza is fine, but when we start putting the cheese and the meat, it's just a fatty, greasy meal, and that's just going to clog your arteries and go into your fat stores. Like if you ate 3,000 calories worth of Macca's or greasy shit for a year, you would fucking... If you ate 3,000 calories of whole plant, high carb foods for a year, you would most likely, if your metabolism is healthy. People aren't obese on fruits and vegetables. Every single person I have met that's been high carb, vegan, or vegan, that doesn't eat animal products, that are high in fat, saturated fat, cholesterol, they're not obese people. They are fit and healthy and lean people. Some of the leanest people that I've ever met actually eat the most carbs and fruit and sugar that I've ever fucking seen. It's just, when I first came to the lifestyle, I was mind blown. I was like, what? So you can eat as much as you want, and long term, you won't get fat, you'll actually get leaner? Like, whoa, yeah, like, of course I want to try that. And along that journey, I have regained my health. My mental health is just improved so much. It's just incredible. It's just my energy levels, my outlook on everything, on food, my relationship with food. Like, of course, it takes time to lose weight. You can't just lose weight in a week or lose weight in 2 weeks. What you're doing is you're losing water weight first. You're losing your nutrients, your vitamins. You're not losing weight in a healthy way. You're just weakening your digestive muscles, and that's just going to make you bloated. When you eat something, you're just going to, you know, like someone who's anorexic or got an eating disorder and they eat something a bit larger than they usually would, they'll bloat. And that's what happened to me too. Like when I ate a larger meal that actually wasn't that large, of something with like high fiber, I'd find my digestion was really, really shit. Like I could not digest the food because my stomach muscles were so weak. The main message of this video is it takes time to heal your body, and the weight will come off eventually. You cannot expect like 2 months in to be like, fuck, I'm not losing weight, like I'm gaining weight, what's happening, what am I doing wrong? You're not doing anything wrong now. What you did wrong was what you did before. Like, cool, you may have lost like 5 kilos in 2 weeks, congratulations, but during that you also fucked up your metabolism and your health. So if your goal is to regain health and long term be healthy and sustain your weight and lose it slowly and not like rapidly, the best thing you could do is eat today. Start right now. If you haven't had a proper meal, if you skipped a meal, don't create a calorie deficit, because the next day when you skip that meal, the next day you're just going to eat more, and most likely the wrong types of foods, the high fat, and eat to satiation. What that means is eat till you're full, you're comfortably full. Don't overeat until you feel sick and want to vomit. I mean, don't get me wrong, when I first went vegan, I was so hungry. So I would eat so much food. I was smashing in the food because my mind, no matter how much I ate, my mind was still hungry. And that's just the long-term consequence of starving my mind of glucose and carbohydrate. So I packed in the food. I was eating so much food till I was sick, but I was still hungry. So don't follow a program that just promotes your health to go downhill. It's not your fault that you're going off track, that you're not being disciplined or all that bullshit. Like, the only thing it's doing is making you a fat storer versus a fat burner, and you don't want that. You don't want to be a fat storer, because your whole life you're just going to yo-yo diet. You're just going to lose weight for, you know, this event and then like regain the weight back with a little bit more, and it's just going to be this vicious cycle, and you're just going to hate it. You're going to be like, fuck this, now I have to diet because I got this thing coming up, or oh, how to lose weight in 10 days in a healthy way. There's no healthy way to lose weight in 10 days. Let's put it that way. So carb up, have a high carb meal, eat till you're full. If you're thinking about food, eat. If you're hungry, eat. Don't skip the meal. Don't be like, oh, I'm not that hungry. I'm a little bit hungry, but I'm not that hungry. I'll skip lunch and just have dinner. Like, you're just creating a calorie deficit. I don't know how many times I've repeated that, but I feel like people don't get it. Like, you just need to understand that food is not the enemy. Food is your friend. It's your fucking mate. So eat it and don't fear it.